friends, my name is Brittany from Brittany Loves Reading, and today we are going to do a baking and books video. I love to bake. I also love watching baking competitions like the Great British Bake Off and many others on the Food Network. It's definitely a pretty big hobby of mine, and along with that is my love of baking romances. So today I'm actually starting a buddy read of a baking romance with Laura. I've linked Laura's channel down below. It's our first ever buddy read. I'm really excited to dive in with that as well. And I know that I'm going to want to do some baking because anytime I read a baking book, I want to bake. Like, it just puts me in the mood to bake. So I'm going to take you along. We're going to do some baking and we're going to read a baking romance. Today, I'm actually going to be making oatmeal chocolate chip muffins. So I'm going to take you along while I do that because I want to stock up the freezer with some muffins before summer really sets in. And it's just a little too hot to be baking various treats for my family. But the book I'm going to be reading is Baking Royal by Lucy Parker. This is a baking show reality romance following two judges of a baking show competition. It's like a rivals to lovers romance, and I'm very excited to dive in. So let's go upstairs, let's get our baking on, and let's read some of our book. So yesterday I got to page 145 of Battle Royal, and I have very mixed feelings about this book because I'm actually really enjoying it, but I know I'm not going to like this romance. I kind of wish this book was just the baking competition, or maybe that our main character had a romance with another character, and I'm going to explain that a little bit as I talk about what's actually happening in this book. So 4 years before the start of this book, but we do see it at the very beginning, is Sylvie in this competition called Operation Cake. She's a contestant. She's almost in the final. It's the penultimate episode when she makes a unicorn cake. And this unicorn cake has electronic components to it, and it should move, it should display cakes, various things. Something goes awry, and her cake hits the judge in the head and basically blows glitter all over him. This is the judge that already didn't really like Sylvie very much because he's very buttoned up. He's the king's main baker. He makes very fancy bakes. Very fancy. And Sylvie makes more fun bakes, like big unicorn cakes. They just don't really get along, and he has never really liked her, so this kind of put him over the edge. She went home from the competition. Since she's been home, she started her own bakery, and it just happens to be across the street from said judge's bakery. His name is Dominic, and he is still a judge on this show when 4 years later, Sylvie signs up to also be a judge on Operation Bake. Come back and judge a set of new contestants. Sylvie is doing this to get some publicity for her bakery. It's, hard to get a new business started, and a little extra publicity never hurts. But one other thing also going on at this time is that the princess of whatever country this is, I don't think it's England, but it might be England. It's a fictional princess anyway, is getting engaged, and they are both vying to bake the princess's wedding cake because, again, publicity. Dominic is what the palace would traditionally want to go with, but this princess is young, she's fun, and Sylvie thinks she has a better shot at this wedding cake. So they are both vying for this spot as well. So they are kind of rivals in that regard. we're seeing the baking competition and them judging the baking competition and her being a bit of a nicer judge, him being a little bit rough to the contestants. And we're seeing some of the contestants' bakes and her thoughts on the contestants and also his. And that part of the book I'm really liking. I love baking. That's why I'm doing this baking vlog, because I love to bake. I have fun when I do it. I find it entertaining. I watch the Great British Bake Off. I watch Canadian version, the Canadian Great Bake Off or whatever it's called. And I love that kind of thing. So reading about it in a book is very interesting. And I almost just wish we left them as competitors. And at this point, they still are. I like them as competitors. I'm rooting for Sylvie. I'm not rooting for Dominic. I want her to win this, princess's wedding cake. I want to see that happening, and I just would rather leave them as that. Maybe bring in a different love interest. I just don't think these two need to become a romance. And I know it's coming. So right now, I'm really enjoying the book. I don't know how I'm going to feel when this becomes a romance. I kind of just want it to remain a competitive baking book. But that's my thoughts on it right now. The other thing that I have that's a little bit of a critique is for a contemporary romance, some of these chapters are much too long. The last chapter I read was an hour and 4 minutes long on the audiobook. It was like 50 pages in the book. And no contemporary romance needs chapters that long. We should have broke that down. I don't know why the chapters are so long, but it's not necessary. I don't like long chapters in any books, but a contemporary romance does not need chapters that long. It just doesn't. So that's my other critique of this book. But right now I'm really enjoying the baking elements of this book. And I kind of just wish we'd stay in that vein and not go into a romance. But I can kind of see the romance coming. And I know it's coming because this is a baking romance. So that's unfortunate. But I'm going to keep enjoying it for what I do love about it at this moment in time. Like, I'm having a good time with it, other than those couple of critiques. We'll see how much the romance plays a part. If we stick more to the baking side and less to the romance side, I may still really love this book because I really am loving the baking competition, the getting the cake contract, all that, really liking. So yesterday I got to page 279 of Battle Royal, so I should be able to finish it today. I actually got to go out yesterday to this local bakery and coffee shop that I've never been to before. It was so cute. It's a Ukrainian bakery, and it was really fun to see all the different pastries. There was a delicious one that I got to have. The coffee was fun, and it was just nice to get out and read in a different location than I normally do. So that's what I did yesterday. And today it's pouring. It's absolutely the gray, dark, pouring rain. So today is not a day to go outside. Today is a day to sit in my house, cozy up in a blanket, and read the rest of Battle Royal, which is what I'm going to do. But I thought I'd give you an update before I dive in. We have hit the romance part of this book, which I did suspect to happen. And what I suspected to happen is what's happening. I'm not really buying into this romance. It feels very strange that these two would go from this rival situation to almost instantly changing their feelings for each other with very little reason for doing so. And I really do like Sylvie, but Dominic is just so one note as a character that I cannot buy into him as much. I am enjoying getting to know a little bit about both of their backstories and their family life, especially Dominic's sister, Pet. Pet is such a fun character, and I really do love seeing Pet more and more throughout the book. But what I am enjoying about this book so much is still the baking part of the book. And there's a lot of drama going on with the baking part of this book, with both the baking competition and also with the royal, trying to get the royal cake. In the Operation Baking competition, we think one of the contestants is sabotaging all the other contestants. I will leave it there, but there is some suspicion about that potentially happening. A lot of people's bakes are going disastrously wrong, and not in a way that you would expect bakers to make those kind of mistakes. Then with the princess, trying to get the contract for the princess competition, we have some royal drama going on. We also have a little bit of drama between multiple bakeries, not so much now between Sylvie and Dom's bakery, but there's a third bakery involved, and there's some drama around whose recipe is whose. So there's some stuff going down. There's some bakery drama happening, and that is the part that I care about. Unfortunately, this is a romance. It's a romance book, and the part of this book that I like the least is the romance. I just want all the bakery content and all the drama around the competition and also the royal drama. That part I'm enjoying. So I'm enjoying about 80% of this book because the romance is certainly not really the main focus of this book. There's so much other stuff going on. As you can tell, I'm talking about a lot of stuff and the book's only 400 pages long. There's a lot else going on in this book. So to not love the romance does not necessarily mean I'm not enjoying the book because there's so many aspects with the baking that I am enjoying. I think if you were not that into baking or baking competitions, this book probably wouldn't interest you that much though, because that is the part that I'm enjoying so much. So that's where I'm at. Really liking the baking and the drama with the baking, not so much loving the romance, and kind of don't think that's going to change. But also liking getting to know both of our characters' family because, as I said, we do have some good side characters with Pet and also with Jay, who is Sylvie's best friend and also business partner. And I think there might be something going on there that we still need to dig deep and find out more about. So I am going to go cuddle up by a window, get some natural rain ambiance, and read the rest of this book. So I have officially finished Battle Royale, and you know what? The romance grew on me. It did grow on me. Dominic grew on me. The more I got to know Dominic and his family structure and him, he grew on me. Is the romance the reason I loved this book? No, I loved it for all the baking drama. The baking drama really sold it for me. The baking content, the show, the royal drama, all that I really did enjoy with this book. I noticed that the sequel actually follows Pet, and if you remember in the last clip, I actually said how much I loved Pet, so I'm very excited to read the sequel of this book and follow Pet's romance. I really did have a fun time reading this book, and I think because I love baking so much and I love baking competitions and everything around that, this book just brought me a lot of joy, and I ended up giving it 4 stars. I really did have a good time, and I had a good time bringing you all along while I did some baking and reading a baking romance. I hope you liked this book and baking vlog because I definitely could see me wanting to do more of these just because it's 2 interests that I really do have. But with that, that is the end of this version of that vlog. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.